A museum has to start somewhere. The further back, the better. A century and a quarter ago, there was a move to establish a provincial museum in British Columbia. And today, the Royal BC Museum continues a tradition that attracts people from around the world. Bruce Kirkpatrick reports.
The floors of British Columbia history, and millions continue to visit. Our current Royal BC Museum opened in 1968, and it all began back on January 29, 1886, when BC's Lieutenant Governor Clement Cornwall placed a petition before the Executive Council of British Columbia asking for a museum. 127 years ago this week in history.
Discussions began then to create a provincial museum to preserve the natural history and what was called at the time Indian antiquities, because there was a concern that a lot of cultural objects were leaving the province.
The original petition in the collections of the Royal BC Museum was signed by 30 citizens, headed by Chief Justice Matthew Begbie. It created the first BC Museum in the bird cages, part of the original BC legislature. By 1890, the Victoria Natural History Society was exploring Cadborough Bay in Saanich, and there was a great effort to preserve Aboriginal roots.
Charles Newcomb and his son Billy, they did a lot of networking up and down the coast, collecting and meeting with people.
Some of the first color postcards, a gallery with a muskox, another with a walrus. Reporters could even touch the elk in the early years. John Fannin was the first curator of the BC Provincial Museum and was a specialist in taxidermy, working with the first museum volunteer Albert Maynard on bird specimens. The Fannin Tower today houses 6 million artifacts.
Ranging from a small beetle to large gramophones, pieces of furniture, textiles, botany, herbariums, some fossils.
An original heron diorama, foxes in winter. Dioramas remain for thousands of school children and adults who visit every year. Old Town, where you can visit the drugstore, the apothecary. Horses outside the kitchen window, you can smell and almost taste the apple pie. The birds of an historical feather remain. Who's who, the miracles and colors of nature. Collections as important as the cultures they represent. Research as important as reviews, which have been glowing from the millions who have spent time here. Millions more to come.
This Week in History, brought to you by the Royal BC Museum, bringing British Columbia's stories together.